Today I'm going to talk about Finetuners. Finetuners obviously do what they say they do. They tune finely. So when you're tuning with the pegs, it's not an even tune. You have to tune down a bit and then slowly back up, and it tunes, almost a semitone to a quarter tone. So the finest I can do, if I just turn it, because what happens with a peg, it kind of clicks in. The finest you can tune, like just listen what happens. Like I'm gonna tune as finely as I possibly can. Here we go. That's about a quarter tone or something like that. So if your pegs are sticking a little bit, it can actually make it quite difficult to tune. So they invented Finetuners. Now originally Finetuners were mostly used for steel strings, because steel strings are almost impossible to tune with pegs. It takes forever because they just don't give or stretch at all. With synthetic or gut strings, you've actually got a bit of play. So if the string is, say, slightly sharp, you can actually just give it a little pull and... Whoa, I actually pulled a little bit too hard and it's slightly flat now. It kind of gives a little bit. So people don't always use Finetuners for synthetic or gut strings. But sometimes, especially when you've started learning, tuning is pretty hard. Like I've got a lot of experiences. I tune violins every day, and I tune more instruments every day than even a professional player would, because I'm always setting up new instruments and I have to retune them. So for me, it's actually really easy because I'm quite, I've learned it, and I've got over 35 years. Actually, I've got more than 40 years experience because I played violin since I was a kid. Not everyone has that, and especially if you're just starting new, it can be really hard. Now, I know there's a whole thing about having pride not to use for Finetuners, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. What I care about is that you have a good time playing. I don't mind you having Finetuners if they make your life easier. But if you have a beautiful tailpiece like that and you put a single Finetune on the E string, that's totally fine. Usually the tailpiece weighs around 18 grams. Now I'm going to use grams because I'm living in a metric system, and the Finetuners weigh 5.25 grams, so 17 grams for the tailpiece. So altogether, the tailpiece with one Finetuner is about 22 grams. Now each Finetuner is 5.25 grams. That means if you add 4 Finetuners, you more than double the weight of the tailpiece. So if you have 4 Finetuners on here, that'll be close to 40 grams, just under 40 grams instead of 22 grams. And that's very heavy, and especially the Finetuners sit on this end of the tailpiece, not the bottom end. They will actually affect the vibrations of the strings, so they will dampen the sound of your instrument. Some very clever people have invented tailpieces with Finetuners built in. So this is the Whitner version, which is a composite material with Finetuners built in. It weighs 22.1 grams, which makes it nice and light. And this one here is the Teller version. It has composite screws in it, and it only weighs 11 grams, the whole thing. I'm actually wondering if it might be slightly too light. Not quite sure, but I'm wondering if it would be. So the actual little arms on here are made from composite material, and only the screws are made from metal, and I think they're made from aluminium, which is quite light. And then the tailpiece itself is very thin as well. So what I recommend is, if you need 4 Finetuners to make your life easier, get a fine-tuning tailpiece. I know it doesn't look as nice. I mean, this is just not as nice as a real timber tailpiece. I get it. But, I mean, in the end, the violin is a musical instrument and you want to play on it. You don't want to spend time tuning it. Now there are some things you need to do to take care of your fine tuners. You can't just keep winding them and winding them and winding them. The tuning on the string usually goes down. It very rarely goes up. Just on gut strings when there's really dry weather does the tuning go up slightly, but usually, nearly always, the tuning goes down. So you'll always have to tune up. And if you're always using your fine tuners, slowly but surely the bottom part of the fine tuner will actually touch the top plate and start damaging it. Now that's not very nice. I mean, it looks terrible on an instrument. Here's an instrument where that's actually happened. So what you have to do every now and then, you have to wind the fine tuner back out like this, all the way out. And of course what happens at the same time is your string goes out of tune. So you have to retune the string with the pegs. And the other thing I've always told you is keep an eye on your bridge. So then when you've done that, check your bridge, because when you've loosened this off here and then tighten it up there, it may have pulled the bridge crooked this way. And if you do that for too long, the whole bridge can bend. Just look up my video on how to straighten a bridge. It's scary what can happen. So you need to just straighten your bridge every now and then, and the way I recommend to do it is to place it on your lap. I currently don't have it on my lap. And then you hook your middle fingers over the tailpiece and the fingerboard here and push your thumbs together, and look how I can move the bridge. So then you can straighten the bridge at the top. But look up the video on where I show you how to straighten the bridge. Now the only other thing you need to do to take care of your fine tuners is to just lubricate them every now and then. I use a little bit of a dry grease. It came in a much bigger tube thing. So you can use grease, you can use Vaseline, don't use oil, or you could just use pencil. Literally just get a pencil, then you just take the screw out all the way, pop the violin on your lap, and then put some pencil on the thread here. And graphite is a type of lubricant, and only just put it on the bottom half because it will spread out. Don't put it up near the top because it'll get all over your hands, and then it'll get all over your violin, and then you have to take the violin to the violin maker to, to clean it. Like, I don't mind, it gives me work, but I'd rather work on other things. Okay, and then you just wind the fine tuner back in until it stops moving. You can feel it. Currently it's moving. If the fine tuner is loose, it'll actually, can you hear that? It'll cause a buzzing noise, so you don't want to leave it too loose. But the moment you tighten it in, you can feel that it goes tight, and now there's no buzz. So that's all you need to do to take care of your fine tuners. I don't mind fine tuners. I actually think they're a really good idea, especially for learners, because you don't want to spend all your practice time tuning. You want to actually practice. Once you get good at tuning with the pegs, you can always change over to a timber tailpiece with just the one fine tuner on it. Anyway, I hope that helped you understand fine tuners a little bit better. Watch for the weight, because if you have too many fine tuners on your violin, it'll have a muting action. In the meantime, keep having fun on the violin, keep making beautiful music. If you liked the video, remember to hit the like button, and it's worth subscribing to my channel because I'm going to do lots more videos like this. And hit the little bell, because if you don't hit the bell, you're just not going to find out if I've posted a new video. I usually post about one video per week. Alright, thanks for watching guys. Keep making beautiful music. See ya!